One of the very first signs that a man's feelings are shifting from friendship to something deeper is in the way his attention changes. Attention is a subtle but profoundly revealing signal, because it reflects not just what he notices, but what he values. In the early stages of friendship, attention is casual. It comes and goes, focused on shared experiences or mutual convenience. But the moment he begins to see you differently, that attention becomes selective, deliberate, and meaningful. Suddenly, he remembers the small details you once thought inconsequential, the way you described a childhood memory, the color you like, or the song you've been humming. He doesn't just hear your words. He registers them, storing them in a mental archive that he refers to without even realizing it. This focused attention also manifests in how he prioritizes his time and energy. Where previously hanging out might have been spontaneous or sporadic, he now finds ways to be present with you more consistently. You may notice him arranging his schedule, offering help, or showing up even when it isn't convenient. That's not obligation, that's a subtle but clear indicator of investment. Psychologically, humans gravitate toward what they value. When a man consistently directs his attention toward you, it's a reflection that somewhere internally he is starting to measure his life through the lens of your presence. The way he observes you also changes. You may catch him noticing nuances, your laughter, your gestures, the way your eyes light up when you're excited. He may even seem to read your mood before you articulate it, offering a word or a gesture that demonstrates he's not only paying attention but emotionally attuned. This is the beginning of emotional investment, but it starts with the simplest act, noticing. In these early stages, attention is both the signal and the foundation. Without it, nothing deeper can grow. There's also a philosophical element to this shift. Attention is a form of acknowledgement. It says, often without words, you matter to me in a way that is different from others. When a man starts paying attention to you with intention, it's not just curiosity. It's an unconscious admission that your presence carries significance in his inner world. He begins to experience your life as intertwined with his own, imagining your reactions, anticipating your feelings, and subtly aligning his choices around you. This selective focus is the first quiet movement from friendship toward love. Importantly, these changes are often gradual and easily missed if you're looking only for overt declarations. It's the cumulative pattern, the little details remembered, the moments he chooses to show up, the subtle awareness of your emotions that signals a shift in perception. Friendship exists in convenience. Attention that requires thought and care is the soil in which attraction grows. So, pay attention not just to what he says, but to how he notices you, how he prioritizes time with you, and how his presence feels. These signals may feel understated, but they are incredibly powerful. When a man begins to focus on you with intention, that's the moment friendship starts its quiet transformation into something far more meaningful. And the reflection to carry with you is this: when someone's attention is intentional, consistent, and emotionally attuned, it's not random, it's love in its earliest, most authentic form. Once a man's attention has shifted and he begins noticing the subtle details of your life, the next stage is emotional investment. This is the point where his feelings move beyond casual interests, beyond friendly camaraderie, and start influencing how he experiences the world. Because your happiness, your mood, your thoughts begin to matter to him in a way that they never did before. Emotional investment is not just about care, it's about alignment. It's when your well-being begins to register inside him as meaningful, and he finds himself adjusting, even unconsciously, to accommodate your emotional state. You might notice that he becomes more attuned to how you feel. If you're having a tough day, he asks more than just, "Are you okay?" He listens, he remembers, he takes small actions to ease your stress. This is different from what a friend might do casually. It's intentional. He wants to understand, to engage, to be present in a way that makes a tangible difference. Psychologically, this is a manifestation of attachment forming. The human brain is wired to invest in what it values, and once someone starts emotionally investing in you, it's a reflection that you are no longer just another person in his social circle. You have begun to occupy a central place in his emotional world. This stage often involves empathy, but it goes deeper than simple sympathy. He begins to experience your emotions as his own, not in a burdensome way, but in a way that draws him closer. Your joy excites him, your frustrations concern him, and even your small victories elicit genuine pride. That resonance is subtle but profound. It's the mind and heart synchronizing, forming a bridge between friendship and attraction. When he begins to care about your internal experience, he's investing emotionally in your life, and that investment is the foundation of romantic interest. Another key aspect of this stage is his willingness to be present. Emotional investment demands time, attention, and patience. He may start prioritizing moments with you even when other things compete for his energy. It's not a calculated move. It's the natural consequence of valuing your emotional state. And it's important to recognize that this investment is a silent declaration he's showing without overt statements that your presence and happiness are important to him. Philosophically, emotional investment represents a shift from the self-centered comfort of friendship to the other-centered awareness of romantic attraction. In friendship, care is often reciprocal but casual. In emotional investment, care becomes deliberate and consistent. He doesn't just enjoy your company. He wants to enhance your experience, to be a stabilizing and positive influence in your life. That is the hallmark of feelings that have begun to move beyond friendship. For you, the key is to observe patterns rather than isolated actions. Does he consistently check in on how you feel? Does he respond to your emotional cues and remember details that matter to you? That consistency is the silent language of attachment. Emotional investment is a signal you cannot ignore because it is rooted in his very experience of valuing you. And the reflection to take with you is this: when a man begins to invest emotionally in your life, when your happiness becomes his concern, that is the quiet but unmistakable beginning of love. Friendship was the soil, attention was the seed, and emotional investment is the first bloom. An unspoken confirmation that he is seeing you as more than just a friend. Once a man has shifted his attention toward you and invested emotionally in your well-being, the next subtle but unmistakable sign that he's falling for you is the way his communication begins to change. Communication is more than words. It's the bridge between the internal world and the external expression of feelings. When a man starts feeling something deeper for a female friend, the way he talks to you, listens to you, and shares with you begins to take on a new quality, one that signals interest without ever needing to be declared outright. You'll notice that his messages, calls, and conversations are no longer purely functional or casual. Instead of touching base only when convenient, he reaches out intentionally. He remembers what you said days or even weeks ago, referencing small details that a casual friend might easily forget. This level of attentiveness is not accidental. It's a manifestation of his mind constantly processing you, storing information about you, and using it to deepen connection. Psychologically, this shows that you have become a salient figure in his cognitive and emotional landscape. Your presence occupies space in his thoughts even when you're not around. At the same time, he begins to open up in ways he never did before. He shares parts of himself, his fears, his dreams, his memories that he might have reserved for only the closest people in his life. Vulnerability is a powerful signal of trust and attraction. In friendship, we often hold back our most intimate thoughts, but romantic interest pushes a person to reveal more of themselves because the emotional payoff, connection with you, becomes more important than self. Protection. When he speaks in a way that invites you into his inner world, he's testing the boundaries of emotional intimacy, seeing if the bond between you can hold more than casual friendship. Another hallmark of this stage is the quality of listening. He doesn't just hear your words, he actively processes them, reflects back, and asks thoughtful follow-up questions. This is different from polite conversation. It's active engagement. It signals that he values your perspective, wants to understand your experience, and is seeking alignment with your world. Communication becomes a tool for connection, not just for information exchange. Philosophically, this shift represents a movement from convenience-based interaction to intentional dialogue. In casual friendship, talking is often transactional, catching up, sharing plans, making small talk. But when a man begins to fall for you, each interaction carries emotional weight, whether he realizes it or not. His words are carefully considered, not manipulated, but guided by the desire to connect, impress, or comfort you. Language becomes a reflection of his growing internal orientation toward you. It's important to note that these changes are often gradual and may feel almost imperceptible until you notice the pattern over time. The combination of intentional outreach, emotional sharing, and attentive listening is what reveals the underlying shift from friendship to something more. The reflection to carry with you is this: when a man communicates with intentionality, depth, and presence, he is no longer speaking to you as a casual friend. His words are the echo of feelings that have grown too strong to remain silent. Paying attention to the way he connects through language allows you to recognize the quiet but undeniable moment when friendship begins transforming into love. When a man begins to fall for a female friend, one of the most revealing shifts happens in the way he positions you in his life. Up until now, you've likely existed in a shared social space, group chats, mutual hangouts, overlapping circles. But once his feelings start to deepen, he instinctively begins to pull you out of the crowd and into a more personal orbit. This isn't something he announces. It shows up in the quiet ways he creates opportunities to be with you alone, to have conversations that don't need an audience, to build experiences that belong only to the two of you. Psychologically, this is about emotional differentiation. When we're just friends, everyone exists on a relatively flat plane. But attraction creates hierarchy. You become more important. Your presence becomes more meaningful. And so he starts behaving in ways that give you special status. He might invite you to things that don't make sense for a group. He might linger after everyone else has left. He might suggest doing something together that feels subtly intimate, even if it's framed as casual. These are not random acts. They are his subconscious mind, trying to create a space where a deeper connection can grow. What's fascinating here is that he often won't fully understand why he's doing it. He just knows he wants more of you, more time, more attention, more shared moments that feel private. And that desire expresses itself through behavior. This is one of the clearest signals that something has shifted internally. He's no longer satisfied with you being just part of his social environment. He wants you to be part of his personal world. There's also a protective instinct that begins to appear. He becomes more attuned to how others treat you. He may subtly position himself closer, both physically and emotionally. He notices if someone makes you uncomfortable. This is not about jealousy in a dramatic sense, it's about investment. When a man starts caring about you in a romantic way, your emotional and physical well-being begins to feel connected to his own. Philosophically, this is where love starts to take root, when another person's experience becomes meaningful to your sense of self. Another powerful sign in this stage is consistency. Friends drift in and out. People cancel, forget, deprioritize. But when a man has deeper feelings for you, he becomes more reliable. He shows up when he says he will. He follows through. Not because he's trying to impress you, but because being there for you matters to him. Reliability is a form of respect, and respect is one of the deepest expressions of attraction. What's important to understand is that these changes are not strategic. They are not part of some game. They are the natural outcome of emotional gravity. When someone starts to matter more, we behave differently. We make room, we create space, we adjust our priorities, and that is exactly what you're seeing when a man stops treating you like just a friend and starts quietly reorganizing his life to include you more deeply. So if you notice that he's carving out time for you, creating moments that feel just for the two of you, and showing up with a new level of care and consistency, don't dismiss it as coincidence. It is the emotional truth of his feelings expressing itself through action. And the truth to leave with is simple but profound. When someone makes space for you in their life, they are revealing the space you already occupy in their heart. When a man's feelings move beyond friendship, one of the most telling shifts happens in the way he communicates with you. Up until this point, his words have likely lived on the surface, easy, playful, familiar, but emotionally neutral. Yet the moment his heart becomes involved, language begins to change. He starts to reveal more of himself, not in a dramatic confession, but in a gradual opening that feels intentional. He talks about his fears, his doubts, his ambitions, the parts of his life that aren't usually on display. Psychologically, this is significant because vulnerability is not something we offer to people who don't matter. We only risk being seen when we believe the other person is safe enough to hold what we reveal. This is where many women get confused, because men are often taught to keep their inner world hidden. So when he begins to invite you into that private space, he's signaling that you've crossed an invisible line. You are no longer just someone he enjoys spending time with. You are someone he trusts emotionally. And trust is one of the deepest foundations of romantic connection. From a philosophical standpoint, intimacy is not built on attraction alone. It's built on the courage to be known. You may notice he asks you questions that go beyond the casual. He wants to understand how you think, what shaped you, what hurts you, what excites you. This curiosity is not idle. It's attachment forming. When we start to imagine a future with someone, we want to know their inner landscape, not just their personality. He's trying to see how you fit into the deeper story of his life. There is also a subtle shift in tone. His messages may become more thoughtful, more consistent, more emotionally present. He doesn't just talk to you when he's bored. He talks to you because you've become part of his emotional rhythm. And that is a powerful thing. You are no longer an option. You are becoming a reference point. He checks in, he follows up, he remembers details you shared weeks ago. This is not accidental. The mind does not store what the heart doesn't value. Another important change is that he starts to share his struggles with you, not in a way that burdens you, but in a way that invites you closer. When a man is falling for you, he doesn't just want you to see his strengths, he wants you to see his humanity. That's because real connection isn't about being impressive, it's about being understood. And being understood requires emotional honesty. What's critical here is that this kind of openness cannot be faked for long. It emerges naturally when someone feels emotionally attached. So if you notice that he's letting you see behind the curtain, if he's allowing you into the quieter, more complicated parts of who he is, it's because you have become emotionally significant to him. And here's the deeper truth. Emotional intimacy is the bridge between friendship and love. It's the moment when two people stop just sharing time and start sharing themselves. So if he's opening up, listening deeply, and making you a place where his inner world feels safe, then his heart has already begun to cross that bridge. Because when someone trusts you with their truth, They are quietly asking you to be part of their future. When a man's feelings have moved beyond friendship, the final and most undeniable shift is not what he says, but what he does with his future. This is where attraction stops being emotional and starts becoming intentional. He begins to place you into his plans, not in a vague, hypothetical way, but in small, concrete, everyday decisions. Psychologically, this matters because our plans reveal our priorities. We may enjoy many people, but we only organize our lives around the ones who truly matter. You'll notice this in subtle ways at first. He talks about things he wants to do with you months from now. He invites you to events that haven't happened yet. He introduces you to people who are important in his life. These are not social gestures, they are acts of integration. He is weaving you into the structure of his world. From a philosophical perspective, this is what commitment looks like before it ever gets a label. It is the quiet decision to make space for someone in the story you are writing about your own life. A man who only sees you as a friend lives in the present with you. A man who is falling for you begins to think in terms of continuity. He imagines how you fit into tomorrow, not just today. And that's a profound difference. Our brains are wired to protect what we value. So when he starts rearranging his time, his energy, and his routines to include you, it's because his mind has already decided that you are worth protecting a place for. There is also a change in how he responds when you pull away. When feelings are shallow, distance is easy. When feelings are deep, distance creates discomfort. If he notices you're quieter, less available, or emotionally withdrawn, he feels it. Not in a controlling way, but in a way that shows you've become emotionally significant. You are no longer just someone he enjoys, you are someone whose absence creates a gap. This is where many women misread the situation. They wait for a dramatic confession, but real emotional investment shows up first as consistency. He keeps showing up. He doesn't disappear when things get complicated. He doesn't fade when he senses vulnerability. Instead, he leans in. That's because when a man wants more than friendship, he's no longer protecting his freedom. He's protecting the connection. Another powerful sign is how he talks about we. Even casually, he begins to frame experiences in a shared way. We should try that place. We'd love that. Language matters because it reflects identity. When he starts to think of you as part of a unit, it means his mind has already made room for partnership. At a deeper level, this shift is about emotional ownership. He begins to feel responsible for how you feel. Not in an unhealthy way, but in a way that says, your happiness matters to me. This is the seed of love. Friendship is about enjoyment. Love is about care. And this is the moment you must pay attention. Not to the charm, not to the chemistry, but to the pattern. Is he choosing you consistently? Is he building you into his life? Is he showing up when it would be easier not to? Because feelings don't reveal themselves through words. They reveal themselves through priorities. So if you want to know whether a man's heart has crossed the line from friendship to something deeper, look at where he places you in his future. Where someone makes space for you is where you truly matter. And when you realize that, you stop waiting to be chosen and start deciding whether what's being offered is worthy of you.